I was already working with a singing teacher who, I don't know, it just didn't seem to work out as well. And then I thought, well, the person who has the best reputation.
A great deal of Swedish singers went to study with her. In the late 70s, early 80s, there was a real boom.
Oh, everybody knew she's the teacher of Kirite Kanawa and Sarah Walker. So, I mean, they represented, and those times, me as a student, they were the greatest names.
I was singing in Frankfurt, and one of my colleagues there, who was a student of Vera, said, "You simply have to go and see Vera." She thought it would be very good for me, and she was very, very thrilled with her. She told me that she had had some vocal trouble. She had been to another teacher who had had a very bad effect on her voice, and then she came to Vera, and she was just quite enamored with Vera, and now she was singing very well. And I was having some problems with my voice, and she said, you have to go to Vera.
A friend said to me, "Oh, you ought to go to see Vera Rozsa." I said, "Who is she?" I said, "Well, she's working with many good singers, and she's very busy. But you try to call her, and if she says no, you must insist that you go."
Okay, now listen. Again, it's a very good note. It is good, it is nothing wrong with it. Only somehow try it before you say, we are not so direct.
Yes.
You have to compose, quasi, the aria. You have to make up the aria now. We have to feel that you think and you say something. Yes. It should not be so ready-made that,
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now then.
In 1979, I got to know Sarah Walker, and Sarah Walker became a very close artistic colleague, did many, many concerts with me. And Sarah always maintained that she owed absolutely everything to Vera.
All I remember, I can remember the room, and I can remember Vera, and what she looked like, and that I sang to her. But the only thing I can clearly remember is, at the end of the lesson, I said, "Oh yes, please, I would like to come to you regularly," and she wouldn't accept me. She said, first of all, no, you are not allowed at this stage to make a choice. You must come for another lesson, and then you may choose. I came from a world of, laid-back, friendly Swedish singing teachers, and Vera is a much tougher lady. She's also a good-hearted woman, but she's has an enormous energy, which to me was quite sort of frightening, and also because coming from the Swedish, I had been sort of fortunate enough. I was top of my class more or less here in Sweden. You could say I was having success already, and then I came to her, and of course she immediately put me back in the place where I belonged.
She said, "Oh my dear, when you sing, sometimes it sounds wonderful, and sometimes it sounds like you don't have a clue what you are doing with your voice." So, which means that, I did not have a standard of singing, of course.
It is a melancholy, and it has another color, yeah? Mm. Okay, try. Mm. That is only the imagination which counts here, because you have the voice, yeah?
But here in the aria here,
yes?
It's I upptäcker. I discover that, it's so different here from before.
But therefore, you have to see that. Before it was so beautiful,
yes.
But now it is not.
Yes.
So this is yes. I say always the truth, but only depending to whom, how much. To someone who is really a great talent, I will say all what I mean. To someone who is not so good, I will put in the medicine in very small thing, but just the same. I can say that all my sort of career I gave, let's say 32 twice master classes in a lot of different countries, nobody yet cried. Lovely, just to even the mindset could be very good, but you do, oh ma, you have to say, oh.
Yes, okay.
Because the oh is where you think about the mindset.
Yeah.
So when you see, and don't pull, I think that you pull in too quick.
Okay.
You do oh ma,
Yeah.
do this, oh ma,
Okay.
and try that. Maybe yes, maybe no, but
Yes.
we have to try.
It took me many, many years to understand her and what she wanted. And I really feel, though, it took maybe a good 10 years to interpret what she was trying to get me to do. Because, you know, you stick in your old ways for so long that you always fall back in any sort of danger or fear. You always fall back on your old habits.
And she had a wonderful exercise, which I remember, which goes, hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Which actually is simply a little phrase, which it could be any phrase, but it was she was trying to describe the kind of support and preparation needed to sing the higher octave. And so she used a phrase which describes exactly the feeling. Hello, how are you? Exactly that feeling. And with each of the hows, she would push me on the shoulder. And I used to be pushed through the curtain by the time I'd been... And we still laugh about that.
I was trying to figure out the best place to place the voice, because I've been trying to get it very much forward, and then I noticed, well, if I put it into the top of the head and sort of more back, I get a bigger tone. And I was a little bit confused where the tone should be placed. And so I asked her, I said, well, now, should it be forward? Should it be up? Should it be back? Where should it be? And she said, don't put it anywhere, she said.
She has an enormous range of different exercises that she would put you through to try and hold the voice to you and not to stand and shout. It's easy as a singer to try and sing loudly and, go for the, like this, which is not good for you at all. So she's very much that spinning feeling. She wants a spinning feeling.
And I had been with a teacher who was really quite disastrous for me. He somehow managed to get me away from my natural support in the body. And that was very bad for the voice. And so Vera was then extremely helpful, because she said, now, the support, the breath, that is the thing. You have to get really back on that. And she showed me how really, something that I had never really been that conscious of.
Yeah, yes, definitely. This is definitely already a little mixture of jazz.
I had a very bad cold, and I began to feel very insecure halfway through the first half. I didn't know, I felt the voice was going, and I didn't know what to do. I knew she was out there. So at the interval, I rang the front of house, and I said to the manager, please, could you find Vera, because I'm sure you can, and ask her if she could come backstage. She would never come before or during unless invited. So I asked her to come, and I said, Vera, what can I do? Darling, you're so stupid. What is wrong? No, there's nothing wrong with the voice. And I said, well, I feel I should have an announcement. No, don't be silly. They will wonder what you are talking about. You are stupid. Sing to me. No. So I sang a note. She said, you see, darling, you are to imagine that you are sending your voice on a long journey, but you are not to go with it. And I know exactly what she means. Instead of going, sleep, and pushing all this air out and feeling inadequate, I should sleep and send the voice, but I should stay.
she hears your voice and she knows what is the problem. And within minutes, she gives you maybe one exercise or, a vocal exercise, or she says something, and immediately it works.
When I then later came to study with her while I was at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London, within weeks she had already corrected a lot of things and given me a top, and so that I was less frightened of my top, and which repertoire I would be singing, the Mozart and the Strauss, na. She's extremely efficient.
I would go to her in a very bad state vocally. I'd go in a very fatigued state, when my voice would not be doing anything that it was supposed to do through the week. And she'd say, oh gosh, what are we going to do with all of this? Because, she was at a loss and I was at a loss because I was doing the wrong things. Until finally I kept on saying, look, I want you to hear me when I'm really bad, get me out of my problems, and then I'm able to do it on my own when I'm away from you. So this continued for many, many months, until finally I grasped what I was doing wrong.
Sometimes you do something where the color of the voice changes from a beautiful voice, a good voice. But then it is I don't know what. I will stop you when I find that. Something is disturbing.
Okay.
So I don't know yet.
Mm?
She would say, make quite sure that everything is free here. Move your head a little bit and check that the throat is free and that you have no tensions. And then she would speak about the breathing and the support. And then of course, she's an excellent musician. So she used to, when we did all kinds of songs, I remember we did the Mussorgsky songs and Dances of Death, and she would accompany that and make excellent musical suggestions.
She thought I was a bit boring, so she wanted me to crack up a little bit and show much more of my inner self. And in doing that, she, I was there crying a couple of times, but looking back, I think it was good for me, because I think I needed to be shaken around a little bit.
Here we are. Something you push somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
She has this characteristic of never being able to tell an untruth to a student, and very interestingly doesn't regard the voice or the technique as something separate from art. It is all together.
I think the singer is only the instrument who has to perform the music, yes? And that is my idea and will always remain my idea.
Well, she loves Lieder, Schubert, and with the whole she has an enormous love for music. She has an enormous appetite and love for music, and anything new you'll sing to her, she says, oh, this is divine, darling, this is divine, and which is wonderful.
I dare to say this, that is no sad Schubert song where is not a smile, and not a happy Schubert song where is not a tear. This melancholy, this mixed something, it appeals to me more than anything.